Greetings, folks. If you are watching in the future, please leave a like on the stream and please subscribe. Both help the channel quite a bit and these streams. But yeah, today we're at the Isle of Man in GP Bikes. And as you might have seen on my channel, if you're subscribed, over the last number of months, I have been working on this mod in particular. I did not make this mod. Fixer1001 made this mod. However, as you will very obviously see once we start riding, once you get a certain amount of distance away from the starting line, the bike starts to shake on screen, and the shaking gets worse and worse and worse the further away from the starting line that you get, until it's pretty much like rattling the whole bike once you're all the way at the other end of the map over by Ramsey. And so yeah, I really love this this road, and I want to be able to practice it and learn it well. And you can't really do that when the bike is shaking around. So I reached out to Fixer a bit ago and I asked him if he could give me his Blender files to sort of edit the map a little bit and break it down into sectors that would be shorter distances. Because the shaking, it's not a problem with the mod itself, it's a problem with the game, GP Bikes. It's just sort of inherent. Once you get a certain distance away from the center point of the map, the bike, it's hard for the game to like place the bike in space. And you usually don't get that problem, but it does happen a little bit on a couple of the really big maps, such as this one and such as the Akaroa Hill mod that I like to ride sometimes. But you really don't get it with too many other mods. So yeah, I got the Blender files from him, and I've been learning Blender because I didn't know how to use Blender before, but I've been learning Blender, and I got a decent handle on it to the point where I could break that Blender file into different sectors. And I just exported my first sector a couple days ago, and I've been working on trying to get the exports correct. And just today I did a stream where I was able to open that exported file in this program called Track ED, I think, Track Editor. And using that, you're able to put the center line on the track, and you're able to put where your bike spawns and the starting grid and all the pits and all that. And so that, once you've got all that done, then you can actually ride the thing in the game. The problem is all that takes a long time, especially because this track is so long. So I was not able to finish the center line and all that today. I just barely started on it actually, so I think tomorrow I'm gonna spend a bit more time and finish the center line, get it playable, and then test it out and see if it actually works. And then if it does, excuse me, you'll actually be able to ride the Isle of Man glitch free in this game, which would just be incredible. It would be incredible. And once I'm able to do that, this track will feature much more prevalently, much more often in this series. So yeah, that's about that though. So I was doing some of that today, and I don't think I have too many other updates other than that. So I say we get into this. That sounds good. I'm just going to be going really slowly today, just going to be doing a cruise, as you can probably see in the chat. As I said, this map is pretty dangerous to ride because it does have that shaking problem after a certain distance, and it's also the Isle of Man, so it's just inherently dangerous. Lots of walls, narrow road and stuff, so I'm just going to be cruising, going road speed. Going to be listening to some music in an earpod. Yeah, and we'll have a slow, chill day, and then hopefully within the next 2 or 3 days I'll be able to have at least one of those sectors playable, and might be able to start going a little faster on this place. So let's get into it, folks. Why is it my controller working? That's weird. Let's try this again. Hopefully I don't have to quit out of the game and restart it, because this track takes a while to load. Yeah, I'm not getting anything. I'm gonna have to quit out of the game and restart it, I think. Alright, let's head over to Steam. Yeah, we're going to be waiting here for about 2 or 3 minutes probably. Okay, let's see if this works. There we go. Gyro's working. Let's get on the road, folks. Actually, let's send ourselves up here. Alright, there we go. You know what, before I get started on this, I'm also going to adjust my graphic settings real quick, because when I was testing this out earlier today, there was a lot of flickering going on with all the trees and everything, so I might bump my textures down a little bit. I'm going to keep my draw distance high. Yeah, we'll just do that. Hopefully that'll let it run a little better. Definitely will not look as pretty in the far background. See all that blurry texture all the way back there? That's sort of the landscape, but whatever. Adjust my music's volume real quick. Hold on. Whoa. That's better. See, there's the shaking. See all that? That starts right about there, and it gets worse as you get further from the start line, and then right about Craig de Ba, I think, is when it starts to get a little bit better. But yeah, it's a really bad problem. I've heard that it doesn't affect the ride. I disagree with that. I think it does affect the ride, especially as you get farther from the center. But yeah, this is the reason I am editing this map right now. Alright, so I'm thinking about putting the first cut in the map, the first end of the end of the first sector right about here. And then the second sector will start before Sarah's Cottage there, and then go on to Olaf Bridge, I think. I think very long term, I would love to make a very similar mod to what you get in TT Island Man 3, where you have pretty much the whole island that you can ride over, and it's like an open world sort of thing. I would love that. This mod is more scant. It's pretty much just the main mountain course road. There's not really much 3D modeling as far as all the mountains go and everything like that, but I don't know. I'm not skilled at 3D modeling at all yet, but in the future I would love to model the whole mountain and have like different roads that you could ride on as well in the middle. That would be very, very cool. Yeah, so the end of the second segment will probably be right about here, and then the beginning of the third segment will be right before the Laugh Bridge, right up there. I tried to pick like the slower spot so that it wouldn't be too jarring to switch maps right in the middle of a run. Yeah, look at this shaking right now. It's actually changing the direction of my bike a little bit. It's going to be so nice to not have that. Man, someone was cooking something awesome in my apartment earlier. It smelled great in here. Yeah, we're getting to about the furthest point on the track from the center, or yeah, from the start line now. So, I mean, look at this shaking. My bike's going all sorts of different directions right here. It's awful. My dash is shaking around this pony. Getting to the part where Hickey crashed a couple years ago, and then up here is the part where he crashed last year. That's got to be nerve-wracking coming back next year for it. I think last year he crashed on one of his first practice laps, if I'm not mistaken. That sucks, man. Hey, there's K-Tree. And let's see where the end of the third segment is. I put it at mountain box. I'm not exactly sure whether it is on the track. It's a long, sweeping left-hander, I think. And I could probably choose a better spot for it, but let's see. Like even right there might be okay. One of the spots where the white walls are on either side of the road in both in real life. That might be a good spot to cut it. This might be mountain box right here. Let's see what this thing says. Guthrie's. Yeah, this might be a decent spot to cut the map, or to cut the segment, because you're going decently slow right there. This might be mountain box right here. I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, the third segment will end just past mountain box, and then the fourth and final segment will start just before mountain box. And then we'll go back to Governor's Bridge. But yeah, as you can see, the shaking's getting a little bit better here. We're getting closer to the starting line. And as I said, I think around Craignabaugh it should be about gone. Oh, this is mountain box, right up here. Okay. Yeah, I might think about cutting it sooner than that. At maybe Guthrie's or something like that. We'll see. Because this is a decently fast corner. Yeah, you'd be going around that at second or third, probably. So it would be a little jarring to cut the track right there. Yeah, it's getting pretty rideable now at this point. I'm not going to go too fast though. I'm a little bit tired today and I don't want to push myself because I haven't ridden this place in a little while. Through the bungalow. It'd be nice if the black and white curb was there that you could lean into. I might think about adding that. That texture is awful. That's my fault. I have my settings very low right now if you missed it earlier. So I can run this huge map. But it's like Mario. Windy corner right there, I think. That felt a little bit too tight for windy corner. Maybe that's coming up here. Gate, I think that said. Yeah, now the road is getting pretty smooth now. Kate's Cottage. I might attempt opening up this part too, as it is in real life, so that you can see around it. Tight corner right there. And into the nook. I may try making this bit a little bit more narrow. That may not be very easy to do, so maybe not, but we'll see. I got a lot of different ideas for what I might want to do with this. And then right here will be the end of the last segment and the start of the new one, the first one. Alright, I think I should get a trainer, so I might do one more lap of this, just follow my trainer. And then I'll probably get off stream after that. I don't want to go too long tonight. Or maybe I won't get a trainer. That kind of sucks. Oh, I guess I would have to do a flying lap for that, but maybe he's behind me? Oh yeah, here we go, cool. Alright, that was 34 minutes. So yeah, I'll do one more and then I'll get off stream. This will be kind of fun, just cruising. Oh yeah, adjusted my music right here. Let me wait for him. Man, it'll be fun to do this in real speed. Follow someone through. Oh my gosh, that'd be cool. See, I'm planning, since these will be point-to-point segments that I'll be making for these, my plan is to be able to make the race line one way on the left side, like going this way, and then on the other side of the road coming back, so that if you do choose to only ride on one lane like I'm doing right now, you'll still be able to get like a trainer for it. Or you might even be able to do it in both directions, even if you're taking up both lanes. I don't know. I'm gonna have to play around with it a little bit, but I definitely want to be able to have a trainer when I finish up these segments. That'll be very cool. I think for the final product for my edit of this mod, I might try to take out the textures that are popping across my screen like that right there. It is very distracting. And if all the textures behave normally, I would love that, but they're all flashing and all that. I don't know. Might be a little bit beyond my scope to, or beyond my call to take those out, but I mean, if I'm gonna be the one using this, I might just take them out, you know. Oh, here's Gyro. I remember the first time I played this track in VR, it really struck me at how much of a downhill it is. Oh, looks like my trainer reached his limit right there, unfortunately. But I was struck by how steep of a hill it was down to Gyro in VR, and how much of a change and incline it really is right at the bottom of it. When I was playing TT Island Man 3, obviously in 2D, I don't know, it looks like any other part of the track, but going down to Gyro in VR looks crazy different. Almost more manageable, like you can really judge the exit and everything. It's kind of cool. You know, I wonder if you can, because I've been playing around with the source code, not the source code, but I've been playing around with like the files of GP bikes a little bit because I wanted to reset my trainers for my other tracks because they were either like too fast so that it would take a while to catch up to them. It would take like 30 minutes to warm up to actually get up to that speed, or they would just be like too slow or something like that. So I was like messing around with the files of GP bikes. I wonder if you can mess with the source code and increase the distance that you can view your trainer, because I think it might cut off at like 10 minutes or a certain distance or something like that. I'm gonna look into that because that might be a thing. You might be able to, for these longer maps like this one and like Akaroa TT, you might be able to extend how far your trainer is visible. That'd be very, very cool. I'm gonna look into that. See, textures like that are really immersion breaking. I don't know how much I like those. That one's nice. Is this the last bridge up here? Yes. Let's see if I can do a little jump off it. Not very much. Gotta get a little bit more throttle than that. That's crazy shake. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think this next section is called Caromar. Ooh. That's a tough corner right there. And I think this is where the track starts to get really bumpy in real life. So maybe this shaking fits a little bit. That corner is definitely one to watch out for. Almost at the mountain. Almost a little too fast. Yeah, these flickering textures are crazy. I wonder what is the cause of that. If it's the number of textures, in which case, when I do release my cut down sectors, there will be less textures, so maybe there will be less flickering, or if it's the way that they're placed or something like that. Not really sure. Here we go, we're on the mountain, so the shaking should start to get a little better from here on. And then I might get a little bit faster as the ride gets smoother, but then once we get back to the start line, that'll be the end of the stream. Yeah, I think I may change the end of the third segment to Guthrie's right back there, because that is a slower part of the track than Mountain Box, and I don't think the extra distance should really affect the shaking too much. Yeah, this is Windy Corner, it turns out. I think, I want to say that they altered it in real life, and it's possible that this mod was made before they altered it, but it does seem to be more sweeping in real life with a little bit more camber, I want to say. So I might look into adjusting that as well. Here we are back at Kate's Cottage, and Craig by, and then we're pretty much done. is the stream, ladies and gentlemen. Oh. Good first day out on the aisle. And yeah, I should have the center line for my first segment done tomorrow, and I'm gonna try to have it at least playable by tomorrow. And if it is, then I may be maybe cruising back and forth on the first segment of this track from Governor's Bridge to Sarah's Cottage for my next stream tomorrow. We'll see. If not, I'll probably be back on Akaro or something like that. I'm not going to ride this this particular mod again. It's way too shaky. It's crazy. But yeah, we'll see. Thank y'all for watching. Please like, please subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.